My name is Kendall. I hope you have been doing well. It's really hard with this COVID thing, being home, but I'm sure you all are doing great. Today we are going to be reading a story called Two Bobbies, and it's a true story about Hurricane Katrina, friendship and survival, of Bobby the dog and Bobcat. It was written by Kirby Larson and Mary Nethery and illustrated by Jean Cassels. Neither Bobby the dog nor Bobcat has a tail, and some say that's what brought them together. No one knows for sure how they met. Perhaps their owner had a soft spot for pet with no tails, but the two Bobbies, as they've now come to be known, were exactly the friend the other needed at exactly the right time. This is their story. The city of New Orleans, on the mighty Mississippi, is a place many people and pets call home. Jamming with jazz and dressing up fancy for Mardi Gras, it bustles with life day and night. But on August 29, 2005, Hurricane Katrina bore down on the city and everyone who lived there, including a wisp of a cat and one puppy. Winds roared 110 miles an hour. Rain pounded hard and fast. Strong winds pushed walls of water from the Gulf of Mexico into Lake Pontchartrain. Some of the levees holding back the lake gave way. Water poured into the city, deeper and deeper. People who had stayed through the storm were finally forced to leave their homes. They had to say goodbye to everything they loved. Many were told they could not take their pets. Bobby and Bobcat were left behind. Bobby had been tethered with a length of chain. Bobcat stayed by her side. Together, in the silent heat, they waited for help to come. After the storm, volunteers from across the country came to New Orleans to lend a hand. They brought food and water. They rescued people stranded on the roofs of their home, and they rescued many animals. But with so much damage and confusion, the two Bobbies were not rescued. Their food and water gone, Bobby finally broke free. She dragged along the broken chain with Bobcat close behind her. In the early days after the hurricane, the two Bobbies tried to make their way around the oily water littered with debris. After the waters receded, they traveled the buckled streets with no place to call home. Month after month passed as Bobby and Bobcat wandered the devastated city. Their days and nights were filled with danger. Packs of hungry, homeless dogs roamed the streets, fighting smaller animals for food. Were Bobby and Bobcat chased away from any scraps they might have found? With little food to eat or clean water to drink, Bobby's ribs began to show. Bobcat's brown sugar markings started to fade into a dull white. One day in January, 4 long months later, Bobby and Bobcat strayed onto a job site. A construction crew hammered and sawed, fixing up a motel damaged by the hurricane. A worker's dog rushed over to play with Bobby. The dog's owner, Rich, noticed Bobcat too. He saw how thin the two strays were and began feeding them. He trimmed Bobby's chain, leaving enough to jingle on the ground because Bobcat liked to follow it. but every time Rich tried to touch Bobcat, Bobby growled. After a week of caring for the two Bobbies, Rich got some bad news when his boss came to the job site. He had given permission for one dog, but not two dogs and a cat. He said Bobby and Bobcat had to go. Rich was determined to take them to a safe place, but Bobby still growled whenever Rich got too near Bobcat. She would not let him pick up or even touch her friend. So, Rich rattled a bowl full of kibble. Bobby followed the food to Rich's van, and Bobcat followed Bobby. Rich drove them to a temporary shelter that Best Friends Animal Society had set up in Celebration Station, a former video game arcade. The shelter was completely filled with homeless dogs and cats, but a volunteer welcomed them in, even naming them Bobby and Bobcat for their bobbed tails. They were placed in separate rooms. All night long, Bobby howled and barked. Bobcat paced back and forth. No one could sleep with Bobby making such a ruckus. So the volunteers made a large pen for her and put Bobcat in his small carrier inside of Bobby's new cage. Bobby lay in front of Bobcat and whimpered. The volunteers opened a small cage to see what would happen. The two Bobbies touched noses together. Together again at last. For the next few minutes, the volunteers studied Bobby and Bobcat. They noticed how Bobcat stayed close to Bobby. They saw how he walked with his neck stuck out, and how carefully he lifted his front paws, placing them down as if he were unsure what he might step on. Someone waved a hand in front of Bobcat's face. Bobcat did not jump back. Another volunteer waved her hand. Bobcat did not even blink. Everyone was stunned. Bobcat was blind. All that time on their own, Bobby had been Bobcat's seeing eye dog. The volunteers and even an ace pet detective searched for their family with no success. 1 month later, Celebration Station closed its doors. But Bobby and Bobcat still did not have a home. There was only one thing left to try. The two Bobbies made a television appearance on CNN's Anderson Cooper's 360. The very next day, the Best Friends volunteers left New Orleans. One of them drove Bobby and Bobcat to the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary in Utah, where they would stay until a new family could be found. They were on their way west when the news came in. Hundreds of people wanted to adopt them. It would take a very special family to adopt them together. The volunteers made a list and invited everyone on it to come and meet the two Bobbies. Only Melinda and her Boston Terrier, Gus Gus, made the long trip to Utah. That night, Bobby and Bobcat had a sleepover with Melinda and Gus Gus in one of the cottages on the sanctuary grounds. Would the two Bobbies choose Melinda? The next morning, everyone knew the answer. Bobby and Bobcat were stuck to Melinda like Velcro. They also liked Gus Gus, and he liked them. Finally, Bobby and Bobcat had found their new family. Now, they live with Melinda, Gus Gus, and Amelia on a ranch in southern Oregon. Bobcat has a window seat to sit in. He likes to play with a robot vacuum cleaner. He turns it on all by himself. Bobby helps with the ranch chores. She goes along on horse rides. On hot days, she lounges in the frog and fairy pond. At the end of every day, Bobby and Bobcat snuggle up together. They have toys and treats, and lots of new friends. Even a camel. Best of all, they have each other. Thousands of others, like the Two Bobbies, lost their families and everything dear to them when Hurricane Katrina hit in New Orleans. After they came to live with Melinda and Gus Gus, their veterinarian discovered debris and grit deep down inside Bobby's ear canal, Bobcat's ear canal. His right eardrum was broken. Did Bobby snatch Bobcat from the dirty floodwaters that had filled New Orleans? No one will ever know, but it is likely that a blind cat like Bobcat would not have made it without Bobby's protection. In turn, Bobcat's friendship may have made Bobby stronger and given her a reason to go on. Bobby and Bobcat survived Hurricane Katrina, and they did it by lending each other a paw. Now, here is an adorable picture of the real Bobby and Bobcat at Celebration Station, which was the arcade. Before we go, I'm going to read a little bit about the authors. Kirby Larson and Mary Nethery are best friends, just like Bobby and Bobcat. They first saw the Two Bobbies on Anderson Cooper 360 and found hope in the Bobbies' stories of friendship and survival. Kirby is the acclaimed author of many books for children, including the 2007 Newbery Honor book, Haiti Big Sky. Mary is the author of many picture books, including Mary Veronica's Egg. Kirby lives in Kenmore, Washington, and Mary lives in Eureka, California. The authors are donating a portion of their proceeds to the Best Friends Animal Society, which will be linked in the description below, along with both of their websites. And Jean Cassels has illustrated more than 60 nonfiction literature titles. Her other titles include Groundhog Stays Up Late and Brer Rabbit Captured. Jean lives with her husband in New Orleans, where the Bobbies were found, and they left the city with their 3 dogs a day before Katrina hit, and it was 6 weeks before they could return home, which is a long time. Although there's still much left to accomplish, all of these authors have been very kind to offer relief, and unfortunately, I find this book to be very fitting because there are a few more hurricanes headed towards the southern states of the United States of America very soon. So keep an eye out on the news and look for any ways to help. I'll have some other information linked in the description. Before I head out, I just want to show you a cute puppy video. Wasn't that adorable? Alright, I hope you enjoyed Two Bobbies. Join me next week for reading of Judy Blume, The Pain and the Great One. Until then, treat your shelves, get up, and I will see you then. Enjoy your day!